Welcome to The Sober Gay, a podcast about being sober in the LGBT community and beyond. I'm your host, Dillan Gay, and yes, that is my real last name. Hi, Aubrey.
Hey Dylan, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I am wonderful. Just got off of work, feeling good.
How's your job going?
It's going. It's COVID time, so we're at least keeping up with that, keeping the 6 feet distance, things like that. People are wearing their masks, so that's all I can ask for. But
Yeah.
stressful still.
People are not wearing their mask everywhere though, because I hear a lot of people like in not major cities like Denver, like we're in, like
Oh yeah.
people can go into restaurants. That's bizarre to me because
Oh
we
yeah.
can't do that.
Oh no, you even have to put your mask up like as you're walking through the restaurant.
Right.
So
Yeah. Like it's insane. Okay, so today's topic, what are we talking about? I keep using you to like swivel myself around.
I was like, what's going on
My
here?
chair has a mind of its own. Oh, that's better. There's something different about today, by the way.
Oh,
Something's different. Do you see something different?
I don't know.
Just so you guys know, if you go over to thesobergay.com and click on the watch tab, you can now watch us.
Isn't that great?
Wow.
You
So
get to watch us.
you can see what we look like while we're doing the episode. So we are live right now. And hello to the camera.
Hello, you all. It's nice to be able to talk to you all this way.
Yes. But anyway, so what is our topic today?
Our topic is falling back into old habits.
Yes. Old things creeping up, old ways. It happens. I had the idea for this because I am back working. I'm back in the restaurant industry, back waiting tables. And before the pandemic, I got sober 2 months before pandemic. So I got like maybe 2 months of working, during the winter time when it's a little slow. So not that, crazy hectic. I didn't really have much experience working while sober. It's the weirdest thing to say because the pandemic has created all these different like caveats, different areas. So now being, back working full time, I'm just noticing like, when I get really busy at work and I'm in the weeds, which is a term in the service industry, which means you're just like, everything's going wrong and you're just so crazy busy. I find myself wanting to snap, wanting to be, rageful, angry. And it's like those things that I found that I had worked on so hard in my sobriety. And I found those thoughts starting to creep up again. And I found myself snapping here and there, and it's scary.
Honestly, I have been feeling that for a long time at work myself. So I totally get this. Like, I go into work super anxious, like already, and then I'm going through work and I just get in the weeds, the same thing. And my first thought is like, I need to yell at every person. I just need to like, in all honesty, I'll even make jokes with my table. Like I'll be like, oh, I'll have a shot after work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and part of me is like, I'm more doing it for like the fun of it, so they just don't even ask like or anything. Like I'm just trying to make fun conversation. But part of me is like, oh my god, I would really love that shot.
Yeah, no,
like,
I get that.
That sounds great right now. So like, and I don't know why I do it because I notice when I do it, but I still go and like do it. I try to stop myself, but I still do it.
Yeah, I found like with the whole like joking around about alcohol and stuff like that. It's so weird because when I was working for those first 2 months of my sobriety, I was very adamant about like, I can't recommend beer. I don't want to do that. I'm not comfortable with that. Now I'm like, oh, get this beer. It's delicious. And I find myself saying these lies to people to want to buy it. But it's almost weird because I'm like, what am I saying? I almost feel like a fraud. Well, I am a fraud for that. You know what I mean? Like that's 100% a fraud.
Yeah. I do the same thing, and I've never actually like tried the beers or anything that I work at. So like I just go off of what I used to know, and I don't know if that's good because it brings back memories, like thinking about it, like, oh, that was like a stout, so this must be what this tastes like, that type of thing. Like, yeah,
Do you know what my manager said to me today?
Uh-oh.
Okay, it would have been triggering to a lot of people, but to
Mhm.
me, I'm very confident and strong in my sobriety. She was like, "Your birthday's Saturday. You know what you have to do." She's like, "I know you don't drink, but you have to have a shot on your birthday." And I was like, "Aha, no." And my friend that was working with me, she was like, "He's sober, he's sober, he's sober." And I was like, "You don't have to do that. You don't have to like, I get what she was doing. Like she
Yeah.
was trying to protect me and my feelings. Luckily I'm strong enough in my sobriety that I was like, I didn't even like, that
Yeah.
was not a tempt to me.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
not
yeah.
like, maybe I will have that shot she's gonna give me. Like, no, I was like, no, I'm not gonna drink your shot. She was, and then do you know what she said? She was like, "Oh, you don't drink, it's fine, we'll just give you a little shot of wine then. How about just a shot of wine?" And I'm like, "Girl,
I don't
I
drink, I
don't
don't want
drink."
this.
Yeah. And I mean, I really give props to my friend that was on shift with me, who was saying like, "He's sober, he's sober, he's sober, he's
Mhm.
sober. Don't stop. Just stop talking, stop talking." But at the same time, I was like, I almost wanted her to stop because it was like bringing attention to the situation. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't need to tell everyone
You're
my
like, "I
life
can handle
story.
it."
Yeah, I didn't need to tell everyone in that moment that like I have a sober podcast and like I educate people in the queer community on sobriety. Like I didn't need to go into all that at that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was literally just like a little comment where she was like, "You have to drink this shot." And then I said, "I know I'm sober." And she said, "We'll make it a shot of wine." And
It's like, "No, no, no, I don't want anything, please."
honestly, a shot of wine would be like 20 times worse for me in the long run. I mean, think about it. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
oh, yeah, I know, I know you and
yeah.
your wine,
Yeah,
so
me and wine were like, yeah. So for her to say that, I was like, and for her to do, yeah. Anyway, old ways. So that made me think of a lot of things. It was like, it made me think of now that I'm back into a restaurant that is a street side, because before, I mean, me and Aubrey met each other working at an airport bar. Now that I'm a street side, it's very much more of that like mom and pop homey kind of
yeah,
feel where the employees hang out with each other and they
yeah.
drink. And they asked me the one time, like, "Do you want to, you have to come get a shot with us after work or come get a drink with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll go with you." I don't have to in that moment just tell them everything
Yeah,
about
yeah,
me. I
yeah.
was like,
Oh,
"I'll go
no.
with you." But then he was like, "Well, it's last call. What do you want to drink?" I'm texting the bartender right now. "What do you want to drink?" And I was like,
Mm.
I started panicking because I was like, "Well, I don't know what non-alcoholic beers they have, and I don't want to ask him to ask her what non-alcoholic
Yeah,
beers." You
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? So I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna skip out on that one." So
Like, I don't have time for that.
yeah,
Sorry, I don't wanna.
it was just weird. I was like, I would love to go, but like, I don't know. Where was I going with that? It's just like the whole like I back in the day, I would always drink with my coworkers after work when I was at street side
Yeah,
restaurants, not in the airport.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was just like that camaraderie of like getting off and being like, "Let's get a shot together."
I feel that, like, so much because that was one of my favorite things to do back, like, when I lived in Ann Arbor. I would go out to after work with all my friends, and I do miss it, but then part of me is like, I don't wanna have to go into the whole situation of, like, I don't drink or I don't do this or,
Yeah.
like, why aren't you having a drink? Because like, I guess we kinda did that at the airport bar a little bit, but
Yeah.
it still was just kind of weird being like everyone else would get a drink and they'd be like, "Oh, are you sure that's all you want?" And you're like, "Yeah, that's really all I want." Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I want to do it, but then I don't at the same time because then I feel like I am pressuring myself into maybe getting a drink at that point.
Yeah. Have you had any instances in your life lately where you feel any old ways coming back up or creeping in?
Honestly, for me, my and I think it's just a concept for me is like laziness.
Oh,
And that
okay.
is like my like just not wanting to do things or like letting things sit for a while. And I know I, like, need to constantly keep up on that, like, and I think laziness caused me it, like, allowed me to be dirty, and then being dirty was just an excuse to, like, be like, "Well, I can go drink because whatever, my face looks
Yes.
terrible."
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I know that.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
So, I started doing that again, like, I won't do laundry as much, or, like, I will let laundry pile up, and I'll do, like, 3 weeks worth of laundry.
Yeah.
And I used to do it every day or, like, every other day where I was just making sure things were good or, like, my house was clean, like, I would be making sure that, like, I was sweeping every day, and I slowly let that stuff go away over time, and, like
Yeah.
and now I just know that I have to, like it's it's the step thing for me. I think I do this for a lot of things. It's like, if I make it one step, then I'm already like moving towards it. So then I just have to think about that next step then, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's one step at a time, like, so you
Yeah.
don't overwhelm yourself.
Yeah, for me, I break it down to that one step of like, all right, I gotta get up. And once I get up, then my next step is to go and move to get the broom or something like that.
Yes.
And I have the broom in my hand. Well, now that I have it in my hand, I might as well start sweeping.
Right.
Like, so that's my thought process when I start doing that kind of stuff. And I do that now
Right.
every day. But I am slowly like getting lazier again.
No, I get that. I have that same feeling with like the letting things pile up and not taking care of them. And it's just like my old ways before. Like
Mm-hmm.
I told you before, like back in the day when my car got repoed, like I had the money to get it back,
Yeah.
but like I just was so lazy and just didn't care. And like I would start letting bills slip and all this thing. And I'm like, I noticed like recently, like I let a bill slip for a couple days past due, and I was like, oh, let me get to that bill. And then I was like, oh my God, Dylan, let's not go back that way. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no, seriously. Cause it's like once you start thinking about finances too in that way, and you're like, I'm draining my finances. Like, what am I doing here? Then you start thinking, like, what can I do in this situation? How can I make
yeah,
myself feel better?
right, right.
I totally understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Like, I don't want to lose everything I've worked so hard on. And I have been in therapy and helping myself. And lately, again, it's just like that feeling of anxiousness inside of
Mm-hmm.
myself. Like, I feel like I'm going to snap on someone. I feel like I'm going to do something I regret. I feel like I'm going to have a moment that I can control now. Like those moments that I had before, I couldn't control them necessarily because I was blacked out, a little tipsy, drunk, had liquid courage, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like now I'm fearful for situations that like might not even happen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I have control of those situations, but yet I'm still afraid of them.
No, I feel that, and go figure, I actually am in the like same situation with I'm a vegetarian, so like I've been thinking so much about going back and like maybe eating seafood again. And that's been weighing on me. It sounds so weird and like going back to my old ways, but like it's something that I know I can control. It's something that I know and like I know I've been working on for 10 years, and is it something that I really want to like let go of? Like I feel so like hardly about like keeping animals alive, things like that. So
Yeah.
it's literally like, can I let go of my morals? But like then part of me is like, but I really kind of just want to eat some seafood again.
Yeah, yeah, and I know
Like,
you have been toying around with that idea.
yeah.
I mean, I have no opinion on that because I have had so many different diet crazes and different like eating habits and up and down, and I just don't know what to say. But I definitely think that it's okay to eat some
No, I
fish,
know.
right? Yeah.
I guess I was just kind of like saying in that way, like I just feel like, do I want to go back into that?
I
Like is
get you.
in that like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm dumb.
No, it's okay.
Ew, self-deprecating. See, I'm going back in
You
my old ways.
you're not dumb. You are smart. You
Oh.
are strong. You are beautiful.
Oh, see how anxious I get when you say things like that? I'm just like,
I
oh,
do too.
I'm like,
I hate compliments.
oh, no, I'm not.
I am the weirdest person when like I will be like the best server, and then someone will give me a compliment and I'll be like, oh fuck, and I'll just be super awkward with them the rest of the
Yes. Oh my
time.
God, I do that too. Or then I'll just forget their whole order.
Yep.
They're like, they're like, you're so good at your job. And I'm like, oh, thanks. And I literally forget everything they said. And then I'm like, well, now I'm going to mess everything
Because you're
up.
just thinking I need to do everything right this time.
Yes. That's exactly, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Maybe we're just frauds. Is that what it is? This is the sober fraud. Welcome to the sober fraud.
Hi, how are you doing? I am still sober though.
Yes, we are sober sisters. Thank
Yes,
God.
thank goodness.
We're
Honestly, I like I feel like the feeling of wanting to drink is not as strong as my feeling of wanting to be sober.
yes. Amen.
If that really like resonates with someone, like I can still feel like I want to drink, but in the end, I am so much more willing to wanting to be sober because of where my life has gone, where I'm at right now. I mean, like, look, I would not be doing this with someone like if I
Yeah.
was drunk right now. I
Yes.
would not be making a
Yeah.
podcast like and I feel like I'm helping people doing this, and like I'm doing school and I'm doing good in school, and like I have a job and I'm saving money and I'm doing all this stuff. So like all the positives that I've learned over the past 2 years do not make one drink for me.
Yeah.
Like,
I know,
it's
I get
not worth
that.
that.
Yeah, I posted on our Instagram the other day with what was it like the average drinking or the average what am I trying to say? Craving.
Yes, yes,
The
yes,
average
yes.
alcohol craving lasts 20 minutes. 20
Mm.
minutes. 20 minutes is the perfect time for a bath, a little drive, a little run, a little walk, a little dog walk. 20 minutes.
Honestly, and I never even thought about that until you put it up. About
Yeah.
about that, yeah. You when you put up the 20 minutes, I was like, I guess that kind of makes sense because I usually, when I do have a craving, let something go, like, just keep doing something, and then eventually it just fades away.
Yeah, and that's the best thing. Like, remember that we talked about in that one episode, it was like, you have a craving, and then you just think about the steps that it takes
Mhm,
to get there. I have to go get my wallet, I have to pull my card out, and all that
mhm.
time I have the clarity knowing what I'm doing in that moment is going to purchase alcohol or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, if you just break down all those steps, you're not gonna wanna do it, and then
Yeah,
your 20 minutes is up.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think there's actually a really good app for, I think Headspace might actually have it where they, if you do, or it's a craving, I forget. It's one of them, but you can hit, like, it's like a 20-minute counter and it will, like, play meditative
Oh,
music
I
for
love
you
that.
or something. So if you're having a craving, you can press, I'm gonna need to look this up so you guys can know what this
Yeah.
is.
So it's just like any kind of like I guess you would say like a meditation bell where it's like a 10-minute bell where you would use that in like a
Yeah, when
kind
you're
of like
feeling
that.
it, you press it and it just, like, it puts you into, like, this either meditative state or, like, tells you to do something, and you do that for the next 10, 15, 20
I
minutes.
love that.
Yeah.
I've found this new technique that kind of works for me a little bit. And it's gonna sound a little silly, but I don't know, some people might think it's great. But I've noticed when I start getting overwhelmed, if I like take a moment and stomp and firmly like put all my toes on the ground, like I feel with my pinky toe, I go like through my toes. I feel my pinky toe, the next one, the next one, the next one. I like go through and I fan through and I push them all into the ground. And then I stomp a little more and then I come back. And it literally like grounds me for a second and makes me like realize like you're here, you're now, like these are consequences, decisions, actions, all that stuff like makes sense for a moment. And instead of flipping out or screaming at someone because I'm frustrated, I like take that moment to just like stomp, find my toes, put them in the ground, and then I'm like, okay, I'm here, I'm now.
Healthier outlet there.
Yeah.
A much healthier outlet as opposed to yelling at someone, for
Yeah.
sure.
But then I'm like, but now I'm that guy that runs into the walk-in and like stomps. You know what I mean?
That's okay, though.
Like,
I would rather have someone go into the walk-in and stomp than be me and running around the restaurant yelling at people.
right. No, okay, so maybe that is good.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah, I swear at the computer, like, next I'll be like, "Ah, fuck this computer," like,
Yeah.
and there'll be, like, a table right there, and they're listening, like, they don't even know
I'm
what's
really bad with that because I'll literally be at the computer and I'm like, fuck these fuck these customers. I hate them. And then they're sitting right next to me and I'm like, oh no, not you, honey. You're great. Like,
You are beautiful, it's not you, I'm not serving you.
I'm like, fuck her salad. Not your salad. Your salad's on the way. Like, I have something I want to read.
Ooh.
Okay. Let's see here. I got a message from a listener that says, I've just finished listening to the most recent episode whilst soaking in the tub like a huge, fabulous sponge. And I just wanted to express my gratitude for you starting this podcast. My drinking was always really closely intertwined with my sexuality. I was stuck in a relationship with a man for 6 years as a very closeted lesbian. We began
Mhm.
dating when we were 14, and I thought I was maybe just a bit late to having my boy crazy phase. It never came, lol. I love that. And I would heavily drink whilst I lived with this man, which is how my problem very quickly spiraled out of control. So sobriety has always been really essential for me to become more comfortable in accepting my own sexuality. It's still a work in progress, but I couldn't be happier, and I love your pod so much. I know you've not specifically talked about a situation like mine, but listening to other sober queer people is literally saving my life at this point. So thank you.
Oh,
Love that message. So I definitely wanted to share that. And I asked for their permission too. So
yeah, thank
obviously.
you for sharing that, and thank you for, sharing that.
Yeah. We
Oh
also
my I gotta talk to you all
yeah.
too.
We also got a response in response to our last letter. Someone wrote in and said, I just listened to last week's episode. And side note, the email from the guy in Lottie Dottie made me crack up because I live here too. And the sober scene has been hard since I moved here. So my question was, a while back, there was a mention on an episode about smoking weed, medical marijuana, and a comment about that being for another episode. Will that topic be covered? Being in a medical recreational state, legal state is interesting place in sobriety, and I was just curious on your thoughts on marijuana. Thanks, babes. Love the podcast. You make my day every Friday on my commute. So
Oh,
this is something that Aubrey and I have been very sensitive about in I don't know if you guys have noticed that we haven't really talked about.
yeah. Nope.
For a reason, because we want to make sure that we are well educated and well versed so that we can use our platform to do the best research and education to inform you guys. So for now, to respond to that, all we have to say is to be continued, I guess. That we
To be
are
continued.
just know that we are that is something that we are working on tirelessly to, with research to make sure that we get the correct information, the correct knowledge. Everything has to be correct. And
Honestly, what it comes down to is it's just really we want everyone's sober program to be for you. We don't want it to be we want you to be sober because you want to be sober, and we the way that you do it is not going to be judged. And I think that's really what we're trying to say is we want to make sure that we come at this so we're not judging anyone or making anyone feel judged, or making anyone feel pressured to, maybe smoke weed or not smoke weed. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and being in, the gay community and the sober community, Aubrey and I are very conscious of our sensitivity to a range of topics. And so we just haven't covered that yet. And it's something that we're working on, like I said, with more research, just so we can come at you. And the episode is coming. It's just still in the works. So
yeah. And I mean, honestly, keep sending us messages like that. I mean, we want to know what you all want to hear too. We want to be able to talk to you all about anything. So please, like, give us all that information. If you want us to talk about weed, maybe we'll do it even quicker.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
let's see. We also had a message. Someone is looking for, let's see. Hi, asking for a loved one, looking for support. Do you know of any recovery-oriented podcast book resources specifically for queer and trans folks who are struggling with weed? I have found some recovery sources for weed, but nothing with LGBT affirming, and most of the queer sobriety resources I've found are geared towards alcohol. So if you guys have any knowledge on that, hit us up on our Instagram or our email and let us know, just so, because another listener was reaching out about that.
yeah. So,
which brings us back to our first point about why we haven't talked about it yet, because it's just such a gray area. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and if you do need resources for weed, NA is always a great. I mean, NA is strictly about drugs other than alcohol, so that's always a good place to start. You can also go to Refuge Recovery. There's a lot of different like religious types of recovery. There's Celebrate Recovery if you're a Christian. So look at those. They don't necessarily.
I think their question was more specifically for trans and queer people, though.
Oh, I thought it was with we. Okay,
no, they're looking more for some help geared towards. Yeah, that's why it was.
Sorry, never
No,
mind.
that's okay. No, those are great options. Definitely try those out. But if you listeners have any recommendations for any of those resources that are specifically geared for queer or trans people, we would love to hear them so we could pass that knowledge along.
Yeah.
Speaking of, where can people find us on Instagram?
They can find us at the Sober Gay. Oh my gosh, that's the website.
Yeah, that's okay.
They can find us at the Sober Gay Podcast.
The Sober Gay Podcast. And if you would like to check out our lovely website, which if you are watching us live, you can see behind Aubrey. Where can they find that?
They can find us at thesobergay.com.
With any questions or any concerns, where should they send those emails?
They should send those emails to thesobergay@gmail.com.
Love that. And as always, don't forget to
stay sober, girl.